It's time for Fight News Now Extra. My name is John Pollock with Robin Black joining me at the desk as we'll go through today's news. As Tyrone Spong faces yet another setback, a heavyweight rivalry continues in the UFC, and a UFC fighter has announced that he is walking away from the sport. 35-year-old middleweight Costas Philippou has informed the UFC that he is retiring after a 7-year career in which he posted a record of 13-5 with one no contest. After debuting in the UFC with a loss to Nick Catone, Philippou went on to have a 5-fight winning streak, but of late he's lost 3 of his last 4 fights and last fought Gegard Mousasi this past May, where he was largely dominated over the course of 3 rounds. The World Series of Fighting card on August the 1st has been hit with an injury to Tyrone Spong, who is off of his fight with Mike Kyle. Spong suffered a sprained MCL, and now Kyle will fight Thiago Silva on the show. Spong has not fought in either MMA or kickboxing since his leg break at the Glory 15 event in April 2014, although Spong has had 2 boxing fights since that time, and he is hopeful to fight for World Series of Fighting come September or October. And Alistair Overeem is continuing to push for a fight with Junior Dos Santos, posting a photo on his Instagram account of the two together. Overeem is coming off wins over Stefan Struve and Roy Nelson, while the former heavyweight champion Dos Santos has not fought since December, where he won a war over Stipe Miocic and isn't planning to fight again until the fall of this year. Saturday night, we are live at 7 p.m. Eastern Time with a UFC 189 pre-fight show, and then immediately after the main event, we are back with a live post-show running through all of the action from Las Vegas. Here with Robin Black. Robin, it's going to be you and me all week. John Ramdine is off in Las Vegas for International Fight Week. What a week it's going to be.
Yeah, he's an international man of mystery, that John Ramdine.
International. A domestic man of mystery, I think. He goes as far as Barry, I believe, and back.
Yeah, it's true.
What are you looking forward to on Saturday? And this weekend as a whole, I mean, all the focus has been on the main event, but you go down this card, there's a lot of quality on this particular show. I mean, down to Gunnar Nelson and Brandon Thatch, which is a really fascinating fight. We were mentioning before, Brad Pickett, who you and I are going to be chatting with later this week. He's going to be, I think, in a must-win scenario against Thomas Almeida. It's a really solid card on the Saturday.
It really is, and you're right. Everything is going to be underneath that main event, because the main event is absolutely stellar. We don't know enough about elements of Conor McGregor's game, and the guy is a star. So everybody's going to be talking about that. I do think that Gunnar Nelson versus Brandon Thatch on any other card would be my favorite fight. It's fascinating. It's very interesting. I mean, Thatch is a murderer going forward. Forward, backward, that line, that traditional Muay Thai aggressive line. But you got Gunnar Nelson, who won. If he has 90 seconds when it hits the ground, he will submit Thatch. He is that good. He really, really is that good. And 2, what's his job on the feet? His job on the feet is don't get smashed up by this guy. He's got super good linear movement. He's defensively smart. So it'll be kind of an old school game. Don't hit me. Don't hit me. Don't hit me. Look, I tripped you, and now I'm going to look to submit you. It's a really fun fight. It's a really cool fight. But what about the welterweight title fight? Also brilliant. A lot of people picking Rory to go out there and look better than we've ever seen him.
Is it surprising to you that this one, like, I understand that a lot of the focus on an international scale is on Conor McGregor. However, I was on a radio show on Tuesday night, and I'm talking about this, and Rory MacDonald, here's someone that came into the UFC and almost right away was branded, he's going to be the next George St. Pierre, a label that was just about unattainable for any Canadian to be thrust with. This guy not only has soared under this spotlight that is the next coming of George St. Pierre, now he's facing his first championship opportunity against Robbie Lawler. From a Canadian perspective, I'm very surprised that Rory MacDonald is not getting more focus outside of Fight Network, of course, all week long. But is it surprising that this one is not? It's a great fight, and it is a great story in Rory MacDonald here, challenging for his first UFC title.
My quick answer is, yeah, it's totally surprising. And then the more I think about it, it's like, this is just the impact of real, true star power. Star power, you could hate Conor McGregor. In fact, a lot of you do hate Conor McGregor, but that's just another aspect of star power. You don't really know what it is. We all kind of know it when we see it. Maybe it started with Elvis Presley. You know, but from that day forward, we've known what a superstar is. And a superstar makes girls scream and guys go crazy and want to be him, or men hate him, and people get enraged or fascinated. for whatever reason, this crazy Irishman who's got an amazing left hand and a beard and says some crazy stuff, he has that star power. So much so that even the next great Canadian at home in Canada isn't being talked about by Canadians, right?
A story from earlier this week, I know it has been discussed, involving Gilbert Melendez, Gilbert, who's going to be gone a year. If there is any saving grace here for one Gilbert Melendez, it's the fact that, had this happened just a few weeks later, this guy was facing 2 years, and instead he's out for a year. How much do you think that kind of dictates Gilbert Melendez's his future at this point? This guy is not he's not spring chicken in the sport, and a year is a year.
Yeah, what do you do with that year? There's a lot of things. One, no matter what, you failed the drug test, and that's going to be a big issue. There are degrees of failing it. You don't look at Gilbert. You don't hear about his past. You don't take the pieces of the puzzle that we all kind of know about and go, wow, the worst juicer in the business. But you failed the drug test. That's an issue. It's going to be one in the changing time. But at the same time, one, good luck getting a 1 year instead of a 2 year or a 3 year. And two, so far the guy's handled it like a genius. He said, I did it. I didn't inject things which we all imagine and go, oh yeah, these guys shoving needles in their butt. Okay, you're not one of those guys. But you did do it wrong. You did accept it. And now if you do disappear for weeks and months, I'm sorry, I did it, go away. That's how you handle this kind of stuff. You don't go out there, honey, Jason, I'm looking at you, and start talking about suing commissions. We know those people are guilty. We've seen it with Lance Armstrong. We've seen it with thousands of examples. That overreaction to it. Just say you did it, say you're sorry, and bail for a little while.
I look at Gilbert Melendez as someone exactly. I mean, he owned up to it right away, and I don't think that excuses a guy doing something, whether it's ignorance or there was malicious intent. At the same time, Gilbert Melendez has built up this goodwill amongst people that, there's fighters that people I think are just willing to, okay, he's owning up to it and you move on. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but it's a tactic and it seems to be working for a Gilbert Melendez.
It seems to be the right one. We all, who among us have no guilt? Who among us haven't done something wrong in our lives? And the right way to handle something wrong is, I did it, I was either stupid or I did it and I'm guilty, and go and leave a bit of space. Honey, Jason, you did it, you know it, don't sue the commission.
That wraps it up for us. More Fight News Now Extra is coming up. Stay tuned.